Welcome back. In this video, we'll be writing our script for a file sync script. So let's get started. So we're basically going to follow the same structure as our pseudocode. So I will copy it and put it right here so we can write the code underneath. So we need to repeat the code forever. So as we learned in the previous section, the best way to run code forever is to use the while true loop, so the infinite while loop. So let's put our pseudocode in here, and this way we can have it all together. All right, so now we need to get the files in the source. Well, we don't have a source, so we will define our source here. So source folder is going to be, and I will just make up a folder and I will put files in there. My files source. So I will create this folder later because there's nothing yet, but and then the destination folder is going to be ctemp my files destination. All right, so now we have our source and our file, and we need to get the data. So let's create a variable called files in source, and it's going to be get child item, and it's going to be the source folder. All right, now we're going to get the files in the destination. So files in destination equals get child item. Oops. Destination folder. All right. So it doesn't matter, but so we have it correctly. All right. Now we don't need this comment here. And let's go here. So now it's for each file in source. So it's basically the same thing, more or less. And the function here, the loop would be for each files in source. And this is what we put in there. So let me format this. All right, so check if the file exists in the destination. So here to do that, we're going to have to do some filtering. So So here what we will do is create a variable called destination match. And what we're going to do is take the files in the destination. We're going to use where object to retrieve all the file names in this destination that have the same name as our file. So in theory, there should only be one because each folder can only have one file named exactly the same. So if this returns anything, it will either return one file or 0 files because only one file can be named the same thing. So now we're going to do our if statement, and we can just say if destination match because it will not return anything if we don't have a file in the destination. So we do this. There we go. There's a problem with this, but It works. So now what we want to do is check if the file in the source is newer than the one in the destination. So if destination match dot last write time, that's the property. You can do UTC, but as long as they have the same property, it's fine. Is not equal to file dot last. Oops, I picked the wrong one. Sorry. Did last access time. Right. And here we're going to do right. And oops, sorry. And in theory, what we would want to do in an ideal situation is to check the file hash to do that instead of the last write time. If you are adventurous, if you want to do it yourself, the function would be, the if statement would be this: get file hash, sorry, let me do get file hash, sticky key, I'm sorry, get file hash, then we give it a path, which is the file that full name. You can also give it an algorithm to make it faster or more accurate, but it doesn't really matter. And I think it's hash equals, and here we would do get file hash path destination match dot hash. Right? So this is how we would do it with a file hash. So ideally, this would work better than last write time. There are times, and I've run personally into that, where calculating the hash is just too time consuming. But in theory, that's how you should do it. Sorry, full name. So that's how you could do it. We're not going to do it. I'm going to comment this out and put it in the resources if you want to work with the file hash. And I will actually test it before I upload it, so I know for sure that this is correct. And now we say copy file to the destination. So here what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to keep track of the files to move and the files to remove, and we're going to handle them in a separate portion, just so we can work a little bit more on this project. So files to copy equals empty array, and files to remove equals empty array. So we'll keep track of those files right here. So let's copy that, and we're going to add our file here. So we're going to add the file, and otherwise do nothing, so we really don't have to do anything here. So we'll only do something. Okay, so this is, oh no, I'm sorry, we are not done. If there's no file in the destination, if it does not exist, then we do have to copy the file and if the file does not exist in the destination, which is this, I'm going to move this here, then we will do this. We will do the same thing. All right. So that makes sense, I hope. So as you can see, we've used a few things that we've learned in the previous section already. We've had the loop, the infinite loop, the while loop, the for each loop, the filtering, variables, obviously, properties. So now let's do the next one with the removal. So now it's going to be somewhat different, but very similar. So if you want, feel free to pause the video right here and do your own work. And when you press play again, you can check that we've done the same thing. All right. So for each file, and you can use the same name as the previous variable. Here we have file and file. It doesn't matter because within the context, this is only valid within this loop. So it works. So here it's files and destination. And we're going to put this all here. And so check if the file exists in the source, and similar as what we did previously. So I'm going to just copy this, and we're going to replace source with destination, or the other way around. We're going to rename it source, and here we're looking for files in the source. Source, well, file, and this is the same, and this is going to be source match. And here what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing as we did previously. We're going to, oh, it's not happy. We are going to add the files to remove to here. All right. So now we have that. So now we can keep track of what to copy and what to remove. And now let's use a different for loop just for the sake of using what we've learned. Of course, you could definitely use it, do everything in line, but we're here to learn. So we're not here to be the most efficient, but at least learn. So if files to copy, so here again, we're checking that we have files to copy that are in the array. What we're going to do is we're going to do a for loop, right? Of course, we could use a for each loop, but what's the fun in that? And we're going to do copy item, file.full name, sorry, we're supposed to use path. You don't have to use path, but I'm going to use it. And destination is going to be destination folder. And we're going to force copy because, well, it is possible that the file already exists, but is a different file. So there we go. Now let's do some basic error handling here. So let's do if $? Right? We're going to do a message, right? Host successfully copied what is it? Oh, here's, I'm very sorry, I made a mistake. $I. So this is what we're doing. All right. Foreground color. And we're going to pick green. Good color for success. And if it's not just successful, we're going to do this. We're going to write an error message. My host. Sorry. Failed to copy. So this would probably happen, a failure to copy, if the destination file is open. All right, and now we'll do the same with files to remove. And obviously you can stop the video and try to do it yourself. It's the same thing, except instead of using, and I'd like to use it properly, instead of using copy item, we're going to use remove item. And pay attention here, it's not files to copy, it's files to remove. All right, so file to remove. Right, and of course there's no destination here. We can force the deletion. Successfully removed. File to remove. File to remove. And save. All right, so there we go. That's our script. Let's check that it did what we wanted it to do. So while true, so repeat forever, we have a source, a destination. We have our child name, we're getting the files in here. We have arrays to store the data in, and if the destination match, for each file in source, file in destination, we're getting this, we're making sure there's a match. If there's a match and they're not equal in write times, then we'll add it to the list of copy. Then we'll copy the files over. We'll add it to our list of copy files. Then we go to the destination files. We check if the files in the source match, if there's any file in the source that match, and if they do, we'll add them to the list to remove. And here we go over the list of files to copy if any exist. And we'll do this sync, and then we'll write a message if it successfully ran or not. So that's it. We wrote the script. Obviously, we have to check that the script is working. That's going to be in the next video where we will troubleshoot this script. Hopefully there's nothing to troubleshoot, but we'll see. See you in the next video.